Okay guys, in this series of videos we're going to show you if statements and create a chart. But before we do that, let's just quickly review what we have done so far in class. Okay, so this is the chart that we had, the Excel chart that we had, what you guys are working on, the Disco costing sheet. Okay, so a couple things we did is we showed you guys how to do a formula. This was our first formula. Okay, so it was equals B4 times C4. And then, of course, if we wanted to quickly drag and drop that formula down, that's what we did. Put our little cursor here where it's a solid line, and we just dragged and dropped it down there to fill everything. The other one was using what's known as an absolute reference. Okay, so same thing, I wanted to multiply this cell, D4 times H3. But when I drag and dropped it, okay, you guys saw that we had all those zeros. We had all sorts of mistakes. That was because we had to use what's known as an absolute reference. Okay, you can see here, I've sandwiched the H with $2 signs. That's what's known as an absolute reference, so that when I drag and drop this down, because I'm always going to multiply this cell here with these cells here. In other words, these cells are going to change, but this cell is always going to stay the same. That dollar sign in between the H's solidifies that cell right there, so that when I do that old drag and drop, boom, 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 it will always do this cell times this cell, this cell, this cell, this cell, and this cell. Last thing we did as far as formula goes is we did a sum. Okay, so you can see here, I'll just move that over. Okay, sum equals sum E4 to E10. So that's E4 to E10. That's how we added up all of those values there. Okay, the next thing we're going to do. All right, we are now going to start creating a chart. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to highlight all of the cells that we want to make a chart from. So these are all of my cells, A4 to E10. Okay, so I'm going to highlight A4 all the way to E10 down there at the bottom. Okay, now once I've done that, I'm going to go to the Insert tab, and I'm going to click on the Recommended Chart option and select the chart that I want. So here we go. We go to the Insert tab, okay, and right here's our Recommended Charts. If I click on that pull-down menu there, I can see that I've got all sorts of different chart options here. Okay, this is what I'm going to choose. I'm going to choose the clustered column chart. Okay, and there we go. Okay, so automatically it takes those values in all those cells from A2 to E10. What is it? E10, I believe. Hold on, let me just move this over. I don't want to move that. I want to move the whole. There we go. Yes, A4 to E10. So it takes all those values and it just puts them in this chart. I can see here I've got higher of Hall here, higher of Hall, and I've got all of my different costs represented in these bars. So these bars represent these costs up here. Okay, so you see here, higher of Hall, individual cost is this bar here. Number required is, can't see it because it's so small. Cost per night is this bar here. And my total is, of course, this bar here, that purple bar, okay? But as you can see, okay, none of these bars are labeled, okay? So we don't know exactly what they are because here we have our legend down here, but we don't know which these are exactly. So we're going to change some things in this chart. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move the chart, okay? Here's how I move the chart. See how it's got those 4 pointed arrows right there? Okay, once it's like that, I just can drag it wherever I want, okay? And I'm going to drag it so that it's in columns F to J for now, okay? So I'll drag it down here. It's just kind of out of the way, but I can still see my values, okay? Now I'm going to change some stuff, okay? So first thing I'm going to do, like I said, these labels here, Series 1, Series 2, Series 3, Series 4, they correspond to these bars here. Series 1 is this little blue bar. Series 2, you can't see because it's so small. Series 3 is that green one, and Series 4 is that bar there. Well, those bars and those series correspond to these headings up here. In other words, individual cost, like I said, is this blue bar. Number required is, well, it's so small you can't see it. Cost per night is the green bar. And the total cost is that purple bar there. So I'm going to change those titles there of those series into their names. Okay, how do I do that? Well, this is what I do. I go to the bottom of my chart, okay, where it has the list of items here. Okay, now I click it on and I click on select data. Sorry, I double clicked. Okay, so I'll just go back. Oops, sorry. Once that's highlighted, I double click it with 2 fingers. Okay, select data. Okay, this is what I'm going to change. Okay, so series 1, I want to say that that's going to be individual cost. So series 1 is going to be individual cost. Okay, series 2, I'm going to change that. So that is number required. Number required. Okay, series 3 is going to be cost per night. And series 4 is going to be total cost. Okay, so you can see as I do that, all right, they change automatically. All right, now I'm going to hit OK and watch how these change from series 1, 2, 3, and 4 to these names here. Okay, so there we go. All right, so now we can see this blue bar represents individual cost, which is in this column here. So higher of haul individual cost represents this little bar here. Number required is so small we can't see it on the graph. Okay. Cost per night for the higher of haul is this bar here. And of course, total cost for the higher of haul is this bar here. And it goes the same for all of these other values. Okay. So I've made a chart that represents all of this stuff in my little Excel sheet. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is, very carefully, all right, if we notice, okay, so individual cost is currency, as we can see. Cost per night is currency, okay? Total cost is also currency. Number required is just a number, okay? So if I look on my chart, my y-axis, my values here are all in euros. Okay, it's all currency. Sorry, not euros, it's all in pounds. So it's all currency. In other words, I want to get rid of this number required. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to select my box down here. Okay, I'm going to double click on it again. I'm going to select data. Okay, and I'm going to get rid of number required. So I'm going to highlight number required. This little minus thing here, I'll get rid of it. I'll click OK. And there we go. So now I've got all of my cost per night, total cost represented in this bar graph, and everything is in pounds, in currency. Okay, so that's exactly what I want. All right, that is that for that part. And in the next video, I'm going to show you guys how to create if statements. Okay, stay tuned.